right, everybody, welcome out to the Mea Culpa edition of Get On With It, of the Get On With It Sports Podcast. It is Friday, March the 7th, 2 days after the last show. And what happened to our two shot there? Technical difficulties. You can still hear me. I'm talking, but it's gone to the outro. There we go. All right, we're better now. All right.
There we go.
So Pete and I are coming at you tonight to apologize and make amends, if you will, and explain what happened the other night. Okay, and there we're gone again too, and the show's starting again. Oh, there we go. Okay.
No, we're still. That isn't okay. Just learned something new.
There you go. Oh, you were trying something. Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
so, folks, what's happening here is we have new software we've been using for the last couple of shows, right? And it's coming at you through a streaming service that we've been using for so far 2025, right? Different from what we did, or honestly, the last 5 years, right? 4.5 years with the service we were using. But we have new software that enables us to bring you not better graphics, but more graphics, more drops, more video content, more things. So bear with us while we do this. That's what we're doing. But the other night, something kind of went a little cockamamie, and I'm going to let Pete explain to you.
All right. Thank you, John. As John said, we were using StreamYard to get the podcast out to all of you on the various platforms, Twitch and Facebook and YouTube. And we switched over to Restream to do that. And it works very well. And StreamYard has a very nice GUI, which allows us to do the shows that we were doing up until this year. Restream also has a very nice GUI. But we've also been using something the last two shows, I think, called OBS, which stands for Open Broadcasters System or software.
Software.
And it's basically what we use to create all these graphics, and we log in the cameras, and then we send that to Restream, and they send it out. So yours truly has been operating things and making the little templates and all the things that we're using. And I've been learning about OBS as we've been going along. So 2 shows ago, I had an issue with my microphone because of some processing I did that was not well done. It did solve one problem, but it caused another. And so my video and audio got really, really out of sync the longer the show went on, which is probably amusing to watch.
And it really didn't affect the audio stream all that much, but it was
right.
It affected the video.
But So my mouth was I behind or ahead?
You were behind.
I was behind. So I was talking, and then
at the very end, you were answering a question that Harry and I asked you like 20 seconds prior.
It was not good.
Right.
But you and Harry were fine. You guys were fine. So then I started playing around with a few settings and doing some things a little differently. And then Wednesday's debacle, I had changed the setting to try and figure something out and forgotten to change it back. So we went on the air, and I had fixed my problem. My audio and video were fine. John and Harry, picture was fine, but they had no audio.
Zero audio, nothing. So if you did watch the show, on Tuesday, and it's still up, we're going to pull it down. We're going to leave it up for now. In fact, we might leave it up in perpetuity. Who knows?
It's going to disappear from Twitch in a couple of weeks or a week. It's going to disappear from Facebook in a month or whatever. So
it'll disappear from Twitch next week. It'll disappear from Facebook a couple of weeks after that, a few weeks after that. But it'll be up on YouTube for, all of its grandeur. But in any event, which we call it this, we're doing this tonight to explain to you. So if you did watch it, what you got was you got all of the music and all the drops. You had everything that Pete was talking about, but silence other than that.
Yeah, if you're a lip reader, then that would be a good test. You could watch that show and see what Harry and John are talking about.
Right, you could see Harry and I, but you couldn't hear Harry.
Yeah, we could see your lips moving, but there was no sound. So, and it was a shame because it was a pretty good show, not because they didn't have audio, of course.
That's why it was a good show.
That's not That's not why it was a good show. But we did a nice show, and unfortunately, because of my stupidity and lack of attention to detail, things were not set back to the way they should have been. So that's what's going on. Knock wood. We've got everything worked out now. We're gonna see how this goes and check the replay on this and make sure everything works fine. But I see all the meters are moving, and
right. This is twofold. This is for us to explain what happened on Wednesday.
Yeah.
To let you know that we're going to, and I'm just saying this now, we're going to redo that show next Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah.
Now it's not going to be exactly the same. We can't, so the interaction is going to be a little different. Who knows? Maybe it's better. Maybe it's worse. Maybe it's the same. We'll see. But we're going to redo show number 191 next Wednesday.
91B, are we calling it?
So we'll call it 191B. Right. There you go. And we're not putting the audio podcast, the audio streams up on Apple Music and Amazon and Pandora and iHeartRadio and Spotify and all of that. We're not putting it up. We were actually just talking about it. We were thinking about putting it up. You'd hear all the music and you'd hear Pete say, you'd hear Pete say something like,
so baseball news, we got the Yankees looking pretty good, but of course the Mets have got Soto and Alonso, and we'll see who's going to be a better team this year. Harry, what do you think?
And then silence.
And then probably silence for a good 8, 9, 10 minutes.
Right.
As Harry
and then all
John...
of a sudden, Pete just starts laughing out of nowhere.
Yeah. And I come in and I go, well, yeah, that's true. And then you don't hear from me for another 4, 5, 6 minutes.
Good point.
So yeah,
that would have been funny. But no, we're not putting that up. So anybody watch it, if you do both, if you watch the video, if you're watching it now, if you rewatch the video at a later date, if you watch it on whether it's on Facebook or whether you rewatch it on YouTube, and you listen to the audio stream, then you're going to know what happened, right? But if you just listen to the audio stream, then you're never going to hear me talking about this right now because we're not putting this up on the audio stream. My point is, anybody that's just an audio stream, an audio podcast listener, is never going to know what happened on Wednesday night.
Yeah,
right? They're gonna see the show go up next week that we do the redo, the 191B, and that's it. So, but for those of you that do pay attention to the video, you're the ones that were affected on Wednesday. So we apologize. And if you do, you have a couple of weeks. So if you do want to go rewatch it and see what lip reading you can do before you just give up and say screw this and turn it up, have at it.
I almost wish we had a transcript, but we can't have a transcript service without audio, because then you and Harry could at least recreate. We could dub the old video if we had a transcript, but we don't. So,
and we can intentionally delay it so it's like an old, Godzilla movie,
or like one of the old kung fu movies,
right? That's it, yeah.
Which was sort of like what it was a month ago. At least for me.
Right.
Where I noticed, I watched a little bit of it, and there were some occasions where I was saying something else, but the older audio was going at the same time my lips were moving, and it was not matching up at all. So
not at all. That was pretty
very funny. But anyway, I apologize to you, the audience, and to you, John, and to Harry, of course. We're getting it worked out. I think we're good now. That's the best I could say. I'm pretty sure we are, and we appreciate your patience.
Yeah, so it's gonna be fun. So and this is gonna be up. So if you didn't watch it and you want to go see what we're talking about, you're seeing this without having watched last Wednesday's
show on Wednesday. Yeah.
Then we urge you to tune in next Wednesday and watch a really good show, because even if we do a half as good a show as we did this past Wednesday, it's going to be a good show because it's good content. We do have the show run, right? So we know what we talked about. We're going to talk about the same items. So
it'll probably be faster.
It'll probably be a little faster
time
too, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're going to want to watch it and tune in, because it was a good full of good content. And pay attention to any of the promos that we do leading up to it, if there's anything else we have to say, and tune in next week. And while you're at it, follow us on all of the socials, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter for that matter, even though we don't stream live to Twitter anymore, which is X now.
Right.
And of course, Twitch. And all of our podcast channels. Pretty much anywhere you can find an audio podcast, you will find a lot of the Log Room guys. That's the other show. And the Chaser's the other show, too. This is the Get On With It Sports Podcast. And,
Yeah.
It's funny. I was going to mention something before, not to digress too much, but you said StreamYard has a nice GUI, right? Explain what that. It's an acronym. Why don't you explain what that is?
So it's a what does the G stand for?
You know what? That's funny. I forget.
Yeah, it's something user interface. So it's how you interact with the program, the buttons you push, and what it can do, and it's a difference between having you might have an app that you have to search through to find what you want, and one that has easy links and it's easy to navigate and so that sort of thing. So,
but because we're GUI, get on with it, GOWI, we need a good GUI. So there you go.
Now I got to stop saying GOWI now, I guess.
GOWI, yeah. GOWI, GUI.
GOWI or GOWI, one or the other.
Yeah, so, anyway.
But yeah, by the way, speaking of all the places that we are, as far as the audio and stuff, if you want to listen, like if you're, I don't know, if you're locked in jail and you have access to the internet, or you're stuck somewhere or whatever, you can go to Spreaker.com and look us up, and they have all of our old shows there. And you can also go to the getonwithitpodcast.com on the internet, and we've got all our old shows there.
Yep.
As well as some, ancient blog content, which we should probably start weeding out some of the older ones. But
we can leave the older ones for perpetuity, but we got to add some new stuff.
Yeah, we definitely have to. That should be. So. But you can check us out
the
there.
Last article I put up was almost a year ago, so
it was right around the opening day, I think, what should be opening day, April 1st. Right. But yeah, so if you want to listen to the old show directly, you can go to Spreaker. I actually put the address in the closing scroller. I put that in there. So
Spreaker.com is our audio host for the audio feed, for the RSS feed, for those of you in the know, for the audio stream that goes out to all of the podcast channels from there. Like we talked about before, Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube Music.
That's right.
Podchaser, listen to us. Pretty much, like I said, pretty much like we always say, pretty much anywhere you can get an audio podcast, you'll find the Get On With Sports podcast. But you can listen to, if you go to Spreaker.com, you can check it out there. If you go to getonwithitpodcast.com, that's our website. There's a page for all of the old shows there as well. And all of we didn't do 191 shows. This is show 191 that we're going to redo. We've done 20 or 30 special shows throughout the years too.
Right. This is just the regular every other Wednesday.
The regular every other Wednesday.
Well, for the first couple of years, it was every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday we did it. We did it once a week for a while. Yeah. But in any event, you can check that out. But again, it's all the same audio content that is, and all the older shows. You can go all the way back to our very first show, which is almost 5 years ago, on any one of the audio podcast platforms as well. If you're just a fan of Apple music podcast, then you can go all the way back to show 1 on Apple. It's there.
Which I actually did today. Not on Apple, but I was like, how did we open back then and listen to the different music and all the changes we've made? So I think we're getting better. But however, just to reiterate, what we're doing right now will not be put out on the audio platforms, and the show from Wednesday is not out on the audio platforms. So
we're going to redo it next Wednesday. So the next next incarnation of the audio podcast will be after next Wednesday's show. So next Thursday or Friday next week.
But you can watch the botched one from this past Wednesday on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook. Yeah. You can know what I talked about.
Exactly.
Well, but it's really, upon review, it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's
just to hear me, it's not worth it.
It's always good, though.
I guess.
And then after the YouTube stuff goes away, and after the not YouTube stuff, after the Facebook stuff videos fall off and the Twitch videos fall off, if you do want to rewatch any of the videos, they're all on the Log Room podcast, the YouTube channel for the Log Room YouTube channel.
That address is in the scroll too.
That address is in the scroll too. Yeah, because if you remember in the beginning, we were the Log Room Sports Podcast.
Yep.
About 8 months in, we changed to the Get On With It Sports Podcast and got our own branding, own website, everything else. But we kept it all together on that channel because it was just important to us to do that. So
Yeah.
In any event, so you can watch any of the shows. So any of the shows that are on the Log Room Guys podcast network, you can check out on there. That's this Get On With It Sports Podcast. It's the Log Room Guys Craft Beer Podcast and the End the Chaser Cocktail Podcast. So watch.
You just like saying Logger Room Podcast Network.
I like saying Logger Room Podcast Network, right? Because on the Spreaker.com, it is the Logger Room Podcast Network that is the parent of all of these audio streams as well. So, but that's what started it. We were the Logger Room Sports Podcast at one point. So
now we're just get on with it.
Our roots. Now we're
the get on with it screw ups.
Now we just need to get on with it. Exactly. Come on, get on with it.
I'll get it. I think we'll get. Well, we'll finish this and then we'll review it and we'll know whether it works or not. I think we're 17 minutes in, so should give us enough time to see if anything is going to go wrong. And
I think that's plenty of time that we'll do it. And if for some reason there's an audio foul up or something's amiss with this one, then we expect another one in about 10 minutes.
Yeah. We'll fix it and we'll be back on in a few minutes.
We'll do this again.
All right.
Mea culpa B. So anyway.
So we'll show 191, Mea culpa B.
There you go.
So should we close it out?
I think we should close it out. All right. So
we will
see
thanks
you
for
next
watching.
week,
If you're watching, and you won't hear us if you're just listening, but don't worry. We'll like John said, we'll either be back in 10 minutes or we'll be back on Wednesday.
There you go.
All right.
Cheers.
Bye, everybody.